Breaking news, the COVID-19 endgame has taken effect, ending Utah's public health orders. We'll break down what it means for you.
Vaccines soon may be available to kids as low as the age of 12. So what is the rollout going to look like in the state of Utah? We'll tell you.
It was a nice spring day here across the state. We had sunshine for a lot of Utah, but I'm tracking another front that arrives as we wrap up the week. The timing of our next storm coming up.
The First Lady of the United States is coming to Utah tomorrow. Why she is going to one of Salt Lake City's most diverse neighborhoods.
A new program here in Utah for incarcerated youth could just help keep them from coming back here. We'll show you how higher education is playing a role.
And Utah troops arriving home from Afghanistan see the emotional reunion with their families.
We begin with breaking news. The vaccines are paying off in Utah. We've reached numbers that trigger the state's endgame law. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. Most public health orders have now been terminated under the COVID-19 endgame law. That means state mandates on gathering sizes as well as physical distancing are now gone.
Fox 13's Ben Winslow broke the story earlier today. He joins us live from Utah's Capitol Hill. Ben.
Yeah, this is something the state has been preparing for, even though for some it might seem a little soon. Today, the state hit the threshold marks under the COVID-19 endgame law to terminate public health orders. Now, here's where we are on those metrics. What put us over was today we cleared 1.63 million doses, prime doses of the vaccine. We are now at 1.65 million. We've already hit metrics for hospitalizations as well as case rates. Now, the state achieved more than 1.63 million prime doses. Those are first shots of the COVID-19 vaccine. So under the endgame law that was passed by the legislature earlier this year, public health orders are now ended. That applies to things like Salt Lake City and Grand County's mask mandates too. Now, I got a chance to ask Governor Spencer Cox about this today.
We're headed in the right direction. Again, that doesn't mean that the virus is gone, and so we encourage people to continue to take the right kinds of safety precautions. If you're in big groups inside, still be careful. If you're not fully vaccinated, of course, wear a mask and protect yourself. But the message is get vaccinated. The reason we set that 1.6 million number is that we knew that that would be enough to get vaccines to get us as close to herd immunity as possible. And so it only works if people get vaccinated.
Now, yes, public health orders are terminated, but there are some exceptions. Mask mandates will remain in all state-run facilities, K through 12 schools, county, Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City-owned facilities, on public transit, and of course, private businesses have every right to demand masks and physical distancing of their customers. Now, the state health department says what this also means is that it is up to every Utahn to exercise personal responsibility, personal care, and of course get vaccinated. But if cases surge, you can expect the Utah Department of Health and the governor's office to go back to the legislature and possibly readdress it. Live on the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Ben, thank you. Meanwhile, as vaccinations ramp up nationwide, the number of new COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have dropped significantly from a surge over the winter.
Now, health officials are looking to two groups needed to help reach herd immunity: the vaccine hesitant and children. Nadia Romero has the latest.
New COVID-19 cases and deaths in the U.S. down. States hit hardest early in the pandemic, eager to open up.
We can do this safely because our numbers have trended decisively in the right direction.
The number now about 1/5 of what they were in January. Many health experts crediting climbing vaccinations.
They remove the ability of this virus to cause serious disease, hospitalization, and death. They allow you to reclaim your pre-pandemic life.
The Biden administration setting a goal of at least partially vaccinating 70% of adult Americans by July 4th.
Get vaccinated. In 2 months, let's celebrate our independence as a nation and our independence from this virus.
Vaccine supply now outpacing demand in much of the country, causing some mass vaccination sites to close. Health officials ramping up efforts to reach those hesitant to get the shot and those who didn't have access before.
The important thing with public health and combating an epidemic is you have to meet the people where they are.
Another key to getting us closer to normal life, inoculating children. The Food and Drug Administration is planning to authorize the Pfizer vaccine for children aged 12 to 15 early next week, according to a federal official.
If you can expand to 12 and 15-year-olds, that's more people vaccinated. That's less opportunity the virus has to infect people.
Pfizer also announcing Tuesday it will seek emergency use authorization for its vaccine in children aged 2 to 11 in September. In Washington, I'm Nadia Romero.
Pfizer did announce today it is filing for full FDA approval by the end of this month for its vaccine for those 16 and older. It's also seeking approval for its vaccine to be stored at standard refrigerated temperatures. The Pfizer vaccine currently requires ultra-cold storage.
As of today, more than 973,000 Utahns are considered fully vaccinated for COVID-19. Nearly 20,000 doses were administered statewide since yesterday. More than 41% of Utahns have received at least one COVID shot.
Tomorrow, Salt Lake City will host First Lady Dr. Jill Biden in a fast-paced tour of one of the city's most diverse communities.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins shows us what we can expect.
In Dr. Biden's second trip out west in less than a month, she'll be here in Glendale. Not so much focusing on politicians, I'm told, but rather educators, frontline workers, and members of the Latinx community.
We're definitely excited.
Dr. Biden's whirlwind visit starts here at Glendale Middle School. While most of the children will be learning online Wednesday, she's expected to meet with students in 2 after-school programs. Glendale Middle is a Title I school where 91% of students are racial or ethnic minorities. Representative Angela Romero will host the First Lady.
I think a lot of times when people think about Utah, they have stereotypes. And so by coming to the west side of Salt Lake City, I think she's going to be surprised and amazed by the rich culture.
The First Lady is a community college professor and will address dozens of educators during National Teacher Appreciation Week at the school.
I really do think it'll mean a lot to them to hear their efforts be recognized by someone at Dr. Biden's level.
At Jordan Park, 100 Glenwood neighbors will roll up their sleeves at a pop-up vaccination clinic. Aimed at Latinx Utahns, the vaccination event hopes to motivate minority groups.
We have a high number of members from that community, and a majority of them are not vaccinated. And so we want to work with a community organization, Communities United, that's a trusted organization, so that people know that it's safe and we're trying to save lives by getting vaccinated.
Dr. Biden will also meet community health workers who've been on the front line during the pandemic, first with testing for COVID and now vaccinating. The First Lady will not be in Utah long. She'll jet off to Las Vegas tomorrow night, and then on Thursday, she'll be in Colorado. Reporting in Glendale, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Latinx community has one of the lowest levels of people fully vaccinated. The state health department says just under 21% of that community is fully vaccinated. When you look at the white community, however, that number jumps to more than 37%. Utah saw an increase of 259 new COVID-19 cases today, with the percentage of people getting a positive test result dropping slightly to 6.5%. But 13 more people have died of COVID-19, 9 men and 4 women. 10 of those deaths occurred before April.
Have you tuned up your AC yet? Because you may need it by the end of the week. Can you
We've got the other AC to tell you all about it, especially come Thursday. Live look at our Old Mill camera, a beautiful view from our east side of the valley out towards Antelope Island, so facing west-northwest right now. It is just stunning, but a bit breezy out there for Salt Lake, 23 miles per hour. It's breezy Evanston, Price, Bryce, Blanding, and a little breezy down towards Zion National Park. But we look at the forecast for the next couple of days. We still have a storm off to our north and east, so tonight might see a few lingering showers near the Idaho border. Northern Wasatch Front going to have that possibility between about now and 9 o'clock, and then that will exit, but just very light precipitation with this. And as I mentioned, this is all into northern Utah and southern Idaho. Temperatures here across the state currently, most of us are in the 60s and 70s, but we look at the forecast for the next couple of hours. Our temperatures will be dropping into the 50s by 10 o'clock tonight and then into the 40s first thing tomorrow morning. High pressure is our main dominant story for the Wasatch Front come Thursday, and then we're going to have another front that moves through from the north later on Friday. So if you have outdoor plans this weekend, there's a potential that you'll see some impacts. I'll let you know what that could be coming up in the full forecast.
Thank you, Allison. Will former President Donald Trump be able to return to Facebook? Coming up, we'll explain the big decision one group will make tomorrow.
Plus, see the new pilot program to help homeless people in Salt Lake City get back on their feet and feel connected to the community. Breaking news, an attorney for former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has filed a motion for a new trial. Chauvin was convicted on April 20th for the murder of George Floyd. Chauvin's attorney cites factors including, quote, the interests of justice, abuse of discretion that deprived the defendant of a fair trial, prosecutorial and jury misconduct, errors of law at trial, and a verdict that is contrary to law. Chauvin is scheduled to be sentenced on June 25th.
Also in national news, Facebook's Independent Oversight Board will announce tomorrow whether to allow former President Donald Trump back on that social media platform.
Now, Facebook banned Mr. Trump on January 7th, one day after the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol. At the time, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said the decision was made because, quote, the risks of allowing the president to continue to use our service during this period are simply too great. However, tomorrow's decision could change things.
If they tell us that former President Trump's account should be reinstated, then we will honor that.
Since being banned on all major social media platforms, President Trump has resorted to communicating by news release.
In world news, emergency crews in Mexico City are clearing the wreckage from a subway bridge collapse that left at least 24 people dead and dozens more injured. Officials say a concrete support beam gave way, sending 2 train cars plummeting toward a busy road.
We are also looking today for an international company that is certified both in subway and structural matters to carry out an external technical investigation so that we can get to the causes of this unfortunate incident.
The crash happened on the metro system's newest route, and there have been safety concerns in the past with that route. Part of the route was temporarily shut down in 2014 after reported structural issues. It was partially closed again in 2017 following a 7.1 magnitude earthquake.
Could summer school help students who are falling behind academically due to the pandemic? Still ahead, what the Canyon School District is doing to address the issue.
And it is a once-in-a-decade shift in the baseline numbers that Allison uses to tell us what is normal weather-wise. And normal is changing. We'll show you.
Utah students who have struggled with remote learning can get some extra help this summer. The Canyon School District is offering the Summer Boost program. They're targeting students in kindergarten through 8th grade who struggled to master reading and math during remote instruction. They'll also address social and emotional needs of students in an untraditional way.
This isn't just your standard summer school where kids are being sent and it feels punishing. We really have designed the program to be an invigorating learning environment with lots of collaboration. There's lots of prizes where they're going to be in and outside all of the times.
Oh, sounds like fun. Administrators have hired enough teachers to cover learning for 2,300 students.
Salt Lake City is kicking off a pilot program to help people who are leaving chronic homelessness to lead a better, more stable life. The Magnolia apartment building will soon be home to 65 people transitioning away from life on the streets. Today, city officials announced the SLC Core initiative. It's a volunteer program to connect the homeless to the community, as well as provide welcome gifts to those who begin moving into the Magnolia apartments this summer.
They're kitchen kits filled with all the things you need for a kitchen that will be sort of presented as, a welcome basket to somebody that might be moving into a home for the first time in a while, into a space that, getting on the road to reclaiming their life. And we wanted to be a part of that welcome.
Learn more about SLC Core and this kitchen kit collection effort at fox13now.com. You know, one of the ways we understand the world around us just got an update.
Bob, every 10 years, the average temperatures and precipitation totals get an update from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Max Roth joins us with a look at those changes in Utah. Max, hi.
Hello, Kelly and Bob. Yeah, okay, so imagine this. You are a creature of habit, and you like one kind of shoe. And you keep 3 pairs of that same exact shoe on hand. Every so often, throw out the oldest one and add a new one. Always have 3. Changes should be subtle. Our weather normals are just like that. You throw out 10 years, the oldest, and you add the newest 10 years, keeping 20. But this time, the changes are not that subtle.
Temperature and precipitation are the key values here. Now, this map means temperatures rising in most of the U.S., except more in the American Southwest than anywhere else. The Dakotas and eastern Montana are an exception. These maps follow temperatures from 1900 to today's normal. From 1970 on, the heat has gone up. Now, precipitation shows what we see in the news. More storms in the Midwest and up and down the East Coast. More drought in our neck of the woods. For Utah, we're going to look at mountain snow and city heat. In the southern mountains, the yellow line here is the old normal precipitation for Bryan Head and the mountains above Cedar City and Parowan. The green line shows the decrease, especially in the months I've highlighted, where you hope to gather snow. Now here's the same thing in the north for Alta, watering the Salt Lake metro area. Look at the end of the year. Old normal showed a lot more snow falling in the months from Halloween to New Year's. And now let's look at St. George, looking at how much it cools down at night. That's when animals and plants and air conditioners rest. The number after the arrows tells you every single month the normal low has increased 2.5 to 3 1/3 degrees. And now we're at the Salt Lake City International Airport with that same figure and similar increases in how much things cool down at night. But look at July, especially in Salt Lake, 3.5 degrees warmer at the coldest point of the night or morning on average. Now another view of that same figure for Salt Lake International. These are the actual temperature averages. Look at the winter low temperatures moving up from 2010 to 2020, inching towards freezing. No wonder the valley floors don't hold so much snow.
And I know that Allison has been following this, talking with the National Weather Service about these changes coming up. Allison and Damon and Danny and Breck use these normals to help us decide everything from when to plant and water the garden to when it's safe and is not safe to travel. So it is pretty easy if you do want to look up information on your hometown. Links to the site will be in the charts in this story online. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And you would think with her powerful computers, Allison would be able to just push the button and have it rain some more. And
I know.
More snow, a little bit colder temperatures.
It definitely would help to be able to get that rain as our drought is just so bad here across the state. But we're looking at the extended forecast. A few chances for some showers, but nothing too widespread that's going to put a major dent into our drought situation here across Utah. But wanted to start with our May climate, showing you some averages for the beginning of the month since we are at May 4th right now. We're normally in the upper 60s for a high and mid 40s for a low at the beginning of the month. But then by the end of the month, we're normally around 80 degrees for a high with an overnight temperature in the mid 50s. But Salt Lake City today, perfectly average. 47 was our low this morning. 68 was our high, and 68 is that average for this time of the year. And 44 is our average low. Today's record high set back in 1947. Our sun will rise tomorrow about 6:20. And it will set tonight around 8:30. But a live look downtown right now showing you a lot more clear sky than we saw this time 24 hours ago. 68 currently with our wind gusting at 23 miles per hour. It's a bit breezy over towards Heber, Evanston, Roosevelt down into Price. That wind is gusting about 15 to 25 miles per hour. And then down towards Bryce Canyon and Blanding, that wind is gusting around 20 to 30 miles per hour. Wind will pick up at times times over the next couple of days. For the rest of your evening, I'm tracking a few light showers near the Idaho border. So what we have going on right now is just a storm that's off to our north and east, some remnants near this Idaho border. And so for tonight, we're starting to see most of our clouds north of Ogden, so Tremont and up towards the Cache Valley through Bear Lake. Currently a little bit of light snow for the highest terrain. Nothing that's going to cause any major travel problems for your evening commute tonight. Temperatures here across the state, 60s, upper 60s for the Wasatch Front right now, 70s and 80s for southwest Utah, 60s and 70s for eastern Utah. Now, lighter wind is expected as we look at your morning tomorrow, and then as we look at the forecast for the next couple of days, our temperatures will be really warming up. But for the rest of the night, we're going to remain in the 60s till about 8 o'clock. By 9 p.m., upper 50s. Overnight temperatures 46 here in Salt Lake City with partly cloudy sky, and for highs tomorrow, about 70 degrees here in Salt Lake City with lots of sunshine. We are just getting going tomorrow. We're above average, and then we are back into record territory come Thursday. So as we look at the forecast for the rest of the evening, the chance for a few light showers through about 7, 8, 9 o'clock tonight, then that exits overnight. Mostly clear sky this evening, and then by tomorrow afternoon, a lot of sunshine here across the state. But waking up around 40 to 50 for the Wasatch Front, around freezing for Park City, St. George about 60 degrees, so double that tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m., so this time tomorrow, we're looking at 60 to 70 for the Wasatch Front, around 90 for St. George for Wednesday, mid-90s for Thursday. Windy on Thursday night into Friday. Cooler this weekend with highs in the mid-80s. And for the Wasatch Front, 70 tomorrow, mid to upper 80s for Thursday. Cooling down for this weekend, around 60 for Saturday and Sunday, along with a chance for a few showers to develop. I'll let you know where coming up in the full forecast.
High school students are starting to get vaccinated on campus, and it's part of the state's push for access for students. On Fox 13, Spencer Joseph will tell you how it's going so far. Coming up.
It's one of those steps we can take that will help not only that individual, but, we believe generations.
Some incarcerated youth will be enrolling in college. Why state leaders say it's a return on investment for taxpayers and helps break the cycle.
And an emotional homecoming for troops returning to Utah from Afghanistan. We'll take you there, coming up at 5:30. The CEO of Epic Games is slamming Apple during a contentious antitrust trial.
This is heated. Tim Sweeney, whose company is behind the extremely popular game Fortnite, says he knew he was breaking App Store rules. Sweeney calls Apple's fees unfair. He also accuses the App Store of being a monopoly in the past. The trial could help reshape the way apps are distributed on iPhones.
Under Armour is paying $9 million to settle charges it was not entirely truthful about its sales numbers. The Securities and Exchange Commission accused the company of tweaking order numbers in 2015 to make its winter quarter look better. Under Armour did not admit nor deny the SEC's accusation.
Same-day delivery is coming to Walgreens drugstores. Walgreens Boots Alliance is partnering with DoorDash, Uber, and others. It's promising delivery in under 2 hours. Purchases made online or on the Walgreens app will be packaged by store workers and then picked up by one of those services. The delivery fee is even $99 and even 99 cents, pardon me. Oh, hold on. I had the wrong price in the script. $7.99.
$7.99.
Okay.
Okay, well, the stocks tanked today as U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said interest rates may need to rise to stop the economy from overheating. The Dow added 20 points to close at 34,133. The Nasdaq tumbled 262 for its worst day since March, and the S&P fell 28.
Still in our next half hour, a new airline is flying into Ogden with some very cheap flights. We'll show you a Velo's maiden voyage into Utah.
An emotional day for families and soldiers. Members of the Utah National Guard returning home today from Afghanistan. I'm Brian Schnee, live at Salt Lake International with a look at their return coming up.
With the Pfizer vaccination soon to be approved for kids as low as the age of 12, what the rollout will look like in the state of Utah for those students coming up.
has been an emotional day for families of Utah soldiers deployed in Afghanistan. Roughly 15 of the Utah National Guard members deployed there returned home today.
Happy tears here. Fox 13 News was there as well for this afternoon's reunions. Brian Schnee is live right now at Salt Lake International. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Bob and Kelly. Tears of joy, smiles, laughter. Well, you just love to see it. Welcoming home their soldiers from overseas were families today, with some of those soldiers spending 10 months to a year serving our country in Afghanistan. The members of Utah National Guard's 1st Attack Reconnaissance Battalion's 211th Aviation Regiment returned to Salt Lake City today. About 10 soldiers returning this morning, another handful this afternoon. A few more will return over the next day or so. The deployment began last May with more than 500 service members heading overseas. 300 came back sooner, the last few trickling back here in the last few days. Their task force commander is overjoyed and relieved that all of Utah's soldiers from this deployment are coming home safe.
Oh, this is just such a happy day. I've been looking forward to this day since I left Afghanistan back in October to bring them all home. It was my prayer and my heartfelt desire, and they're back in the United States, all of them. So just what a wonderful day.
This way.
Lieutenant Colonel Richardson says his heart never left Afghanistan with his fellow soldiers, and members of his own family were still deployed there. So he wanted to be here today to welcome everyone home. Of course, just such an emotional day for families and friends, as well as soldiers to hug one another. Coming up tonight on Fox 13 News at 9, we'll show you some of those special moments, and you'll hear from a West Jordan family that's reunited once again. Live at Salt Lake International, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Oh, and what a beautiful day to welcome home those soldiers. You could see the sun is shining brightly.
Yes, absolutely. And a really nice week to get outside and those spring activities that you love, you can get out and do. This is a live look at our Oldsmobile camera, definitely on golf watch, as we have really nice conditions. Now, it is a bit breezy here in Salt Lake at 23 miles per hour, and Evanston, Price, Bryce, and Blanding, it's all pretty breezy right now. But we look at the forecast and we have mostly clear sky across a lot of the state. Now up towards the Idaho border, we are tracking some areas of very light rain showers into northwest Utah. So what we can expect for the next couple of hours, that possibility of some drizzle on the windshields, and we're going to see this moving on out in just a few hours, but evening drive will not be impacted because of the rain. It's a lot of that that's not quite reaching the ground, just very light precipitation. Temperatures here across Utah right now, 60s and 70s here across the state. St. George, an exception, in the low 80s, but Salt Lake City tonight, 10 p.m., 55. First thing tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., 51 degrees. If you're an early riser, it'll be in the 40s, but it's warming up very quickly. By noon tomorrow, 63, and things are just getting going as far as temperatures go. Thursday, we are back to near record temperatures here across the state, but after that, some changes. The forecast is coming up.
With the authorization of the Pfizer vaccine for children aged 12 to 15 expected to come sometime early next week, schools are already thinking about the best way to reach students that age with the vaccine to get it in their arm.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph has more on those preps, as well as the rollout of the vaccine in schools across the country.
Successful clinics have been happening on high school campuses over the last few weeks, like the one here at Granger High School. Now with authorization on the horizon for that 12 to 15-year-old age range, the counties and the districts are looking exactly how best to get the vaccination to that age group.
The goal and the hope is that we can eliminate it altogether.
Granger High School is like others across the state, holding clinics for their students ages 16 to 18.
We're seeing a fairly good response from our families thus far.
Granite School District is happy they can provide vaccines to students who want it.
We've been vaccinating at the high schools in Salt Lake County for the past 3 weeks.
But across the county, they are seeing fewer students signing up to get the vaccine than they thought.
Our hope is that these individuals have in fact had an opportunity to be vaccinated elsewhere, and we're just getting those individuals that haven't previously had an opportunity to get vaccinated.
As vaccination access for 16 to 18-year-old high schoolers is underway, focus turns to students ages 12 to 15 as approval is on the horizon.
We actually have already had those conversations initially with the health department.
but with not as many students signing up as they had hoped. The county is also looking outside of schools to make it happen.
It's going to be a matter of considering other options in addition to that. Are there other vaccine delivery or access points that are going to make more sense for that age group?
So how soon will those vaccines for 12 to 15-year-olds happen?
I actually think that by and large, these vaccination clinics will be completed prior to the start of the next school year.
And the goal is to continue to push these new groups to reach a 70% vaccination rate in the state.
We have to be concentrating on the entire community. So as each new age group becomes eligible, we not only want to ensure that they have access just as quickly as possible, but also that we're not forgetting that there's still other individuals that we still need to provide access for.
These vaccination clinics are also open to parents with the hopes that that will help increase access to parents that may not have had an easy place to go to get their vaccination. In West Valley City, Spencer Dose, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes joined a national panel today on anti-Asian and Pacific Islander hate in America. Reyes spoke about his experiences with anti-Asian hate and how law enforcement should approach the problem. He also spoke about the toll human trafficking is taking on America's Asian communities.
The value of many of my colleagues now have really led the nation and even the world in the fight to wake people up to the reality of modern day slavery. Many of the victims in the cases that we've done in massive massage parlor takedowns are Chinese nationals.
Today's event was hosted by Washington, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine and Connecticut Attorney General William Tong.
If you want to fly to California, the Ogden-Hinckley Airport has a new option for you. Today, Avelo Airlines began flying from the Ogden-Hinckley Airport to Burbank. Passengers boarded the 189-seat 737 just after 2 this afternoon for the inaugural flight. We spoke with a passenger who flew in from California to Utah today for just $19.
The flight was clean, the people were friendly, it was easy to get to, the price was right. For the price of dinner here, you could have lunch in LA.
Well, flights from Ogden to Burbank will initially be Monday through Saturday, once a day at 11 a.m. Depending on demand, there could be more flights. Fares will vary, so for exact flight times and prices, go to fox13now.com.
I like that price comparison there.
Yeah.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held this morning in Cedar City for a brand new facility in the Dixie National Forest. The building serves as both a district and supervisor's office for the region. It will feature several amenities for the public once it officially opens. Among those features is a retail space which will provide funding to maintain and beautify the forest.
From those retail sales, it raises money for us to do certain projects on the forest. It helps us maintain trails. It helps us build trip planning information, interpretive kiosks, and helps us do various interpretive programs throughout the forest.
And a good place for souvenirs, right? Many Forest Service members are still working remotely due to the pandemic, but officials say they are excited to get into the new space when it's safe to do so.
Coming up, some of Utah's most affected students are getting the tools they need for distance learning. What volunteers are providing to local Native American communities.
And get ready, the FanX Comic Convention is returning this fall. What kind of safety measures attendees can expect and some of the famous guests scheduled to appear. We're back in 60 seconds. Volunteers gathered this afternoon to provide more distance learning tools for Utah's Native American students. The Young Living Foundation partnered with Heart of America to host this event. Volunteers put together 1,000 distance learning kits. They include new school supplies, books, PPE, as well as solar lanterns. An estimated 30% of families in the Navajo Nation lack reliable access to electricity.
As we've just watched so many children transition to online learning, and online learning is not accessible, we wanted to do something about it.
These distance learning kits will be distributed to Native American students in the Navajo and Goshute nations. Students at the Urban Indian Center of Salt Lake City will also receive them.
Here's another sign the state is returning to normal after the shutdown. The Red Butte Summer Concert Series is coming back. Last year's events were canceled, but today the Garden announced the timeline for the 2021 series. No acts were announced today. They plan to have that worked out by June, but tickets will go on sale June 21st for Garden members and June 28th for the general public.
We are ecstatic. We're so ready to get back to what we're used to doing. If you've traditionally been a member, go ahead and plan on renewing. We're going to do this, and I wouldn't wait. Go ahead and get ahead of the curve and get your membership renewed.
Shows are expected to run during August and September this year. For more information on shows and tickets, go to fox13now.com.
Before getting arrested, I was living in the slums. I wasn't doing nothing with my day. I was homeless, here, every day, and now.
Incarcerated youth in Utah now getting a new opportunity to go to college. Still ahead, how COVID-19 helped make it possible.
Coming up in sports, Arsenal head coach Freddie Juarez will tell us what his team needs to do to beat San Jose on Friday. And Rudy Gobert looked like a man among boys last night, and the Jazz went over the Spurs. He'll tell us about how he brings momentum to the team.
Young people who are in jail or detention are getting a chance at a college education through Dixie State University.
What an opportunity. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn takes an in-depth look at this new effort at juvenile justice reform in the Beehive State.
I'm 18 years old, and I've been locked up for about 9 months.
This young man's mistake landed him in a place like this. We won't be showing his face for privacy reasons.
Before getting arrested, I was living in the slums. I wasn't doing nothing with my day. I was homeless, here, every day, and now.
Through a computer screen, he tells us how he never thought he'd even graduate high school.
The next thing I ever thought was where I was going to sleep that night, what I was going to eat. So never thought of a further education, never thought of opportunities I could take.
He has his high school diploma now, and he's getting something else soon, the opportunity to go to college.
I was really shocked because I didn't know you could take college being locked up.
The director of concurrent enrollment at Dixie State University says a staff member actually brought this idea up to him a little while back.
And asked, can we make this possible? How do we build this? And I took a look at it and I said, there's at least 5 things that are going to make this impossible.
Then the pandemic hit, and DSU ended up investing a whole lot of money in technical advancements.
And a couple months later, I called him back and I said, remember those 5 things? All gone.
And it can be either concurrent enrollment, where it counts for high school and college, or if they're done with high school, they can work towards an associate's or a bachelor's.
Vera Institute of Justice reports access to education in prisons increases the likelihood of employment and saves taxpayers money because they are about 40% less likely to end up back in custody.
That's one of those kind of data points you see when, and you're looking at your system, you're saying, wow, that's big bang for the buck.
Brett Peterson is the director of Juvenile Justice Services here in Utah. For about 5 years now, reform has been his goal.
It takes time, but it takes kind of all hands on deck.
So far, the state has seen an almost 50% decrease in low-risk youth ending up in detention centers, plus a 40% decline in assaults.
As you have an aging population and they're going to go back out into the community, we have to think about vocational, job skills, and higher education.
Offering college classes to incarcerated youth is expected to help bring even better outcomes.
Goals for the future is to get out and make a steady income the right way and find a house I could live in with my brother.
Well, Peterson says that juvenile justice reform here in Utah has been extremely successful. The hurdle they really face is once the youth are let out, trying to make sure that they don't end up coming back. He says that's really the focus that they have right now. In Salt Lake City, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The latest data from Utah Juvenile Justice Services shows about 13% of youth released from secure care custody have been charged with one or more new felonies within 90 days. Now, the director of Juvenile Services says they are working to get mentors and access to jobs as well as education for those who have been released so they don't end up back in the system.
May the 4th is something of a pop culture holiday, so what better day to announce some of the panelists scheduled to appear at this year's FanX Salt Lake Comic Convention.
Let's do it. What do you think? Organizers held a news conference this morning where they discuss safety plans for the upcoming event. It's scheduled for September 16th through 18th.
We want to be consistent with what the health guidelines are at that time. But what I want to do, I'd like to encourage people to prepare for the most strict rules, and then any sort of letting off will be a benefit.
Celebrities scheduled to appear include Adam Savage from the show Mythbusters, Henry Thomas, who played Elliot in the movie E.T., and Brett Ewan, better known as the official voice of Mickey Mouse.
Bob? Good try.
You get halfway into it,
It's a
and you
hard
say
one,
no, and then
yeah.
you go. Oh, boy.
You had committed to it, and I appreciate that you tried to see that through. So, operative word.
My
try.
apologies to everyone.
No worries.
goodness.
We enjoyed it.
Well, hey, a good distraction when you're trying to maybe think about something else. How about that weather today? It was a nice day, wasn't it? Right now, our wind is gusting, though, in Salt Lake at 23 miles per hour, looking down towards Bryce and Price. It's pretty breezy for Ely and Elko. All of those areas right now seeing wind gusting around 20 to 25 miles per hour. Sunny across the south, and then once you get up towards Ogden and further north, that's where we have our cloudiest conditions right now, and also some spotty light showers. So all north of I-80 currently until you get up into Wyoming, a few patchy showers just south right near that Idaho, right near the Utah border, but temperatures currently 56 for Evanston and Park City, upper 60s for the Wasatch Front, and then temperatures for Bear Lake right now 53 degrees. Bear Lake getting closer to that time of year where it's comfortable to get out and get in that water, but right now way too cold. Temperatures for southern and eastern Utah 60s and 70s mostly, with an exception for St. George where it's 83 right now. St. George, you're going to be in the 80s until dinner time, until bedtime tonight, actually. Until 9 o'clock, that's when you're back into the 70s, and you'll keep it in the 70s until around midnight. And for Salt Lake City, our temperatures over the next few hours will stay in the 60s till 8 p.m., and then we're going to be back into the 50s. So we'll end up with a pretty cool evening. First thing tomorrow morning, it'll be in the mid-40s, partly cloudy. Definitely need a light jacket, but a pretty nice afternoon is expected tomorrow. Let's look at this futurecast, though, because for the next few hours, we've got the possibility for some very light spotty showers, mostly north of I-80 and into Wyoming, and then we'll have the mostly clear sky. Then tomorrow night, we start seeing our wind picking up in southern Utah and also into Nevada. Then we see come Friday afternoon, it's still very gusty even into southeastern Utah. Cooler air moving in from the north. This is our next front. We're going to have colder temperatures for this weekend with some unsettled weather. Friday evening, we've got that chance you can see here 9 p.m. for rain across parts of the state. A quick shot at showers. That front stalls out across central Utah. We could very well see a few more showers popping up come Saturday afternoon and evening for central Utah. Then come Sunday night, a few showers will be possible, mostly across far northern Utah, but really it's nothing terribly widespread that would really put a big dent into our drought situation here across the state. But we'll take what we can get. Overnight temps about 45 to 50 degrees. Highs tomorrow will be around 60 to 70. St. George into the 90s. St. George, you are mid-90s come Thursday. Thursday night breezy, remember that, into Friday windy, 90. This upcoming weekend, mid-80s. For the Wasatch Front, temperatures 70s tomorrow, mid-80s, close to record territory for Thursday. A little cooler for Friday, much cooler for Saturday and Sunday, highs around 60 degrees.
Well, the battle for the #1 seed in the West continues between the Utah Jazz and Phoenix Suns with 7 games to play. Jazz moved a half game ahead with a win over the San Antonio Spurs last night, but the Suns can move back into a tie with a win over the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Jazz host the Spurs again tomorrow night. Boy, Rudy Gobert had a great game last night with 24 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks. And on this play, he turned away 3 different players who didn't want to challenge Gobert. And then I love this, he even nodded with delight as they went away. Those types of defensive plays give the Jazz a ton of energy and momentum.
When some guys push the ball and they think they're going to have an open layup, and all of a sudden they just get blocked, or they see me and they think that it might be better if they don't shoot. I think it's a little demoralizing. And for us, it does the opposite. We feed off that. Anytime there is a play like that, whether it's me or anyone else, it's a momentum play.
The first minute we show how we're gonna play tonight. Early steal, 3 from Royce. Once again, great defense. Those 2 places that you say are giving us enormous energy, especially in the beginning of the game. But once again, when we play defense like we played tonight, we're gonna be in a game and have a chance to win the game against anybody.
Real Salt Lake has 2 wins in their first 2 matches this season for the first time since 2012. And it's just the 3rd time in club history they've started 2-0. They host another team with 6 early points on Saturday in San Jose. Head coach Freddie Juarez says if his team brings the same mindset as the last 2 games, they should be in great shape against the Earthquakes.
Mentality, willing to defend when things are tough, and as a collective have an idea of how the collective is going to defend, to be a little more lethal. When you get a goal, that's not enough, and when you get a second, you still want a third. San Jose's like its own different situation. Like, it almost doesn't make sense to do a recap after, because we know this game is going to be transition, hard-nosed San Jose who wants a chaotic game. It's going to be competing against a team that loves to compete on the day-to-day in San Jose. I think the biggest thing to carry over would be mentality from our last 2 games.
In Major League Baseball, former Ogden Raptor Kurt Ruiz hit a home run today for the Dodgers against the Cubs. He did drive in the winning run when the Raptors won the Pioneer South Division crown in 2016. The Cubs won the game 7-1, and the tradition lives on at Wrigley Field. His dad taught his kid an important lesson. Home run balls from the visiting team get thrown back. Of course they do. We'll be right back.
Bob, I love it.
I actually do have a pretty good Mickey Mouse.
You do.
I like it.
Good
You
falsetto.
didn't hear it today, though. Oh, boy.
Thanks, everyone, for being with us.
We'll be back at 9 o'clock.